Alright, this is the Professor Chronicles. I'm back with a third video for this week. We did the intro. We did one on students. This one's for all you brand spanking new professors out there. You got your shiny new diploma, like you're seeing in the background here. You want to get a job teaching. I'm not going to tell you how to get a job. That's a later story. This one's going to be about becoming a professor. You're a brand new professor. Hell, maybe you've been in the job 5 years and you want to get better. You get passed over for that promotion. You're not getting full-time. You're sick of being an adjunct. Well, first thing is you got to realize why you're there. You're not there for admin. You're not there for your chair. You're there for the students. People in education sometimes get mad. They say, well, the student isn't a customer. Well, they're patronizing your university. The fact of the matter is they can go anywhere. Transferring is easier than ever. There's more schools than ever before. There's more online schools, on-ground schools, more blend-ed schools. There's partnerships, there's fusions. At the time of this recording, you got schools partnering up like never before, and they're all opening up a branch in that student's backyard. So don't think once they're in your school, you can just treat them like garbage and they're going to stick around. Nope, that's not how it works. You are there for the students. You got to connect to the students. Now, that doesn't mean everybody gets an A and you design your class in Comic Sans and Dayglow colors and everybody's your friend. You can be friendly without being friends. No, I'm going to talk about becoming a real professor. Not somebody who just reads notes in front of a class. Not somebody who just grades homework. It isn't just about, hooray for the ones who get automatic A's and the hell with the ones who are struggling. You got to teach all your students. So first, I want you to listen to this, because I screwed this one up. The student is not you. The student may not be passionate about the material. The student may not care about the stuff you're teaching. They may only be taking your class because they have to. Somebody down in registration said, hey, if you want to get this degree or this diploma, you got to take this class. So they're looking at you like an obstacle. If you're in gen ed or an early prerequisite, they see your class as something to get the hell out of the way before they get to the real classes, the reason I'm here. If they want some sort of science degree, they might not be thrilled about taking a class that begins with EN for English or MA for math or HI for history. They just want their science. If you're at a career-focused school and you got somebody who wants to be a medical assistant, they may not care about professional development or science or math or English or humanities. They don't see the connection. They're not you. They don't understand the behind-the-scenes working. They don't know how this diploma, education, getting credits thing works. They just know they want to go to school and get out so they can get a better job. I've heard my colleagues say it's like serving time. Oh, you can get this diploma in 18 months. You can get this associate's degree in 2 years. Good. It's like they're going to the pen. They walk in day one and the clock's already running. So the student is not you. They don't want to read journal articles every day. They don't care about the latest developments in whatever your field is. So understand they're not you. You still got to reach out to them. But they are not you. They're not just going to dive into your class just for the hell of it. Oh, some of them will. Some of them will learn anything you put out in front of them. But not all of them. And it's your job to reach the ones who don't necessarily want to be there. Here's the thing. I mentioned this in an earlier video. High school has changed. For anybody over 40, if you went back to high school today, it'd blow your mind. It's nothing like it was when we were in school. Students today need to learn how to learn. Oftentimes when they get to college, they haven't learned how to read a textbook. They haven't learned how to take a test. I look at my own kids. Sometimes they get to take tests as many times as they want until they pass it, or they can have as much time as they want. In the college setting, that's not the case. And I don't care if it's online or on ground. If you're in class for an hour, that test has an hour time limit. That's just the way it is. Students have not learned how to learn. They haven't learned how to extract information. I see a lot of students who come into college, all they know, because all they've taught in high school is go to Wikipedia, cut that stuff out, do a little copy paste, drop it in, and call it good. That's not how we roll in the real world. It's not going to serve them in the professional world, so it shouldn't serve them in your classroom. So you got to teach them how to learn. Teach them how to break down words. I don't care if you're in a science class or a history class. I don't care what class you're in. Teach them to understand what they're reading. I preach, and this is in my notes, something called the textbook two-step. Now, as more and more universities go to ebooks and adaptive learning and learning modules, the textbook two-step might need a new name, but the lesson still applies. Tell your student, do Unit 1-1. Do you understand it? Can you talk about it? Do you know what the words mean? If so, go on to 1-2. If you didn't get it, do it again. This time, write some notes. Look stuff up along the way. Then, when you're ready, do 1-2. You get to end of 1-2 and ask yourself, did I understand most of it? Okay, I'm going to go back through and look it up. If you're completely lost, go back to 1-1. It sounds like it's going to take a lot of time, but I swear to you, it takes less once you get rolling. I can't tell you how many times the students come to me and go, Professor, I didn't understand it. That's why I failed the test. I'll ask them, did you read the book? Yeah, I read it 5 times. How did you read it? Well, I sat down and I read it. Page 1 to page 50, I read all of it. That's not how it works. They read a book like Harry Potter. Harry Potter has chapters. Every chapter has a beginning, a middle, and some sort of escalation or transition at the end, marked by a clear end. A science book, an English book, a history book doesn't work that way. There's building concepts. It's like a pyramid. It's not like a straight line. So you read 1-1, then you move on to 1-2. You look stuff up as you go, because this way you're going through the material once from beginning to end, building knowledge. So by the time you get to the real complicated stuff at the end, in the science area, that might be pathology at the end of a anatomy and physiology unit. English, that might be proof of concept, where you're talking about actually writing a complete form of a paper or a complete form of an essay. In history, you might go through the battles of a given war, and then at the end you're talking about the consequences. And those battles are reflected in the consequences and how things turned out. You're building knowledge towards a conclusion. So then when the student gets to the end, they should be able to look back at that chapter and go, I understand what happened here. You need to teach that way. You need to preach that way. You need to get these students going 1 step forward and 2 steps back sometimes when it's necessary. If they're not getting it, they got to go back to the basics. I don't know if any of y'all watching here have history with martial arts, but every so often, even if you're a black belt or a brown belt, a good teacher will make you go back and do those white belt katas, those white belt drills. You got to keep it up here. You got to keep your fundamentals sound. Our students haven't always learned those fundamentals. So they didn't get it in high school. So especially if you're a 100 level teacher, a gen ed teacher, you got to drill those fundamentals, especially in that first semester or that first year. Teach them how to read a book. Teach them how to learn. Another thing that I screwed up early in my career, rules versus learning. Not only did I expect every student to be as smart and sharp and dedicated as I was, I expected them to know the rules like I did. And that's not the case. They don't know how to learn. They don't know how to be college students. They're still learning to be students. We see a lot of academic dishonesty, or at least I used to, in an old format of my classes. I got mad. I got real mad. I wrote everybody up. I turned them all in for academic dishonesty. I yelled. I screamed. I wanted changes in policy, this, that, and the other thing. And then it finally hit me. Number one, you can't fight the internet, because no matter what you do, the answers are out there. But number two, students didn't realize it was wrong. You got to remember, our students are coming up now through high school, and there's some teachers out there, sorry high school teachers, but some of you are guilty of this. You're taking it. You're taking that Wikipedia garbage. You're taking that WebMD garbage. You're taking that garbage from Student of Fortune, where they're paying somebody to do their homework. Don't let rules get in the way of learning. Student does some academic dishonesty, talk to them about it, confront them. The worst possible outcome is, yeah, I knew what I was doing was wrong. Okay, then you got to give them a 0. You got to write them up. You got to explain to them why they never ever can do it again. Best case scenario, you turn it into a teaching moment. Maybe you get a little honesty. Maybe you build that relationship with the student. Maybe you find out, I was running behind, I took a shortcut, or I really didn't know I couldn't do this. Point is, you can reach out, you can make that contact, you can humanize yourself. You can build that relationship to the student, get them saying good things about you, get them saying good things about your school. But don't let the rules get in the way. So when I have students committing academic dishonesty, I ask them about it. I'm like, hey, we need to talk about this. Your paper looked exactly like this stuff I'm familiar with online. What's going on? I guess the other thing, and this is an add-on that I didn't think of when I was writing my notes, you're not going to fight the internet. So if you're using academic resources from a textbook, they're as good as gone. Years ago, the school I worked for used a book called PhysioX. There were lab simulations. And there was a professor at a community college in the Southwest. And like clockwork, every time a new book came out, he scanned in the answer key, the instructor's manual, put the answers on his blog, so that if you went online and typed in, say, PhysioX version 7, PhysioX 7.0 answers, well, he had it labeled that way. His blog came up usually within the first 3 or 4 entries. So students were going on and they were quoting back the answer key to me. Well, obviously I wasn't happy about it, but you got to be smarter than the students. So we created our own lab template. When we realized that students were uploading that thing to places like Student of Fortune, we realized that it was easier to do all this other stuff than to just learn the material. So you need to tailor your class and make it appealing. Don't make it a chore. If students are given the choice between climbing a mountain and walking around a corner, they're going to walk around the corner. They're not going to go climb the mountain because they can't see the benefit. They don't know the benefits yet, especially early on. Be human. You got to be human. As I mentioned earlier, early in my career, I was all about the rules. I was strict. I was stern. In some ways, I was teaching the grad school level classes I just finished. And if you're teaching freshmen in college, diploma or certificate students at a career-focused college, even sophomores, juniors, 19, 20-year-old kids, they haven't been through the years of education like you have. They're still learning. You got to tailor your class to your audience, and you got to be human about it. You've heard me say in these videos, this is where I screwed up. That's a powerful learning tool. Share that with your students. Tell them about where you screwed up. They'll remember that. It also makes you human. There was a gentleman I met in graduate school. You can look up his name. His name is Dr. Fred Barge, B-A-R-G-E. And he had a quote. He said, "He heals most in whom most have confidence." He was talking about being a chiropractor and really about being a doctor of any sort, in that in order to get a patient well, the first thing you need is their confidence, their trust. They need to believe in you, because if you don't build that relationship, they're not going to listen to you. And yes, the mind is powerful, but also they're not going to follow your directions. They're certainly not going to refer anybody to you. They're not going to come for their follow-up appointment. So you got to build confidence. You got to build that connection. The same is true in education. So I'll take Dr. Barge's quote and say, he teaches most in whom most have confidence. Forgive me for using the gendered male pronoun. I'm a male. I'm going to use it. Sorry. Dr. Barge was a man. He was a smart man. I'm going to use it. Don't give me the business in the comments. But build confidence in your students. Teach them. Make them confident they can learn. Humanize yourself. Talk about where you make mistakes. Tell them that you're there for them and you're there to help them. Don't put yourself out there as the paragon. Like, I learned this stuff and you'll be lucky if you learn it. No, you did it. They can do it too. Be a teacher. Guide them. It's not your job to just roll out the ball and go, here it is, learn it. I've been in the online arena and I see that's the way a lot of classes are designed. Here's your lecture. Here's your ebook. Here's your online exercises. Do it. No, you got to be in there. You got to be active as a professor. It's too easy, especially in the online arena or with an online LMS for a traditional campus, to say, well, I'm just going to kick back and wait for the work to come in and grade it. Great. At that point, you're no better than a grad student. You're and I'm going to do it, facilitator. No, you're not a facilitator. You are a teacher. Teacher means active. Facilitator just means, here you go, just make it work. Facilitating is passive. You're setting up the board and letting it run. No, not doing it. No way, no how, nope, not going to happen. Find a way to help. This is an emotional topic, so I'm going to sound extra salty. I get emails from professors all the time. My student did this wrong. My student did that wrong. I'm angry. I'm pissed off about their grades. Did you find a way to help? Did you notice they blew week 1? Did you notice they missed 3 weeks in the middle of the class? Did you reach out? Did you offer help? Did you say, hey, look, you started off well, and then you disappeared. I want to know what's going on. I want to help you. Did you say, hey, look, we've still got X weeks left and X points left? The school I'm most attached to uses a 1,000-point scale. So it's really easy to say, hey, look, these last few weeks, you've got 375 points left. That's a good chunk that'll get you to passing. Let's help you earn as many of those points as you can. All right, let's do it. And finally, sometimes you got to redefine success. And I just did this morning. I have a 4-week class that's wrapping up here in a couple of days. And there's some students, there's only 350 points in our last week. They're not going to get to the level needed to pass. And in this class, it happens to be 700. So I sent out an email. I said, look, I did it more professionally than this, so just roll with it. Look, there's 350 points left. You don't have 350 points right now. You're not going to get there. Or you may technically be able to get there, but you need perfect scores, and you ain't exactly been perfect over the last 3 weeks. Let's talk about getting you re-enrolled for next term. Let's talk about helping you get there. For other students, I reach out and go, look, you can make it. You're sitting at 400 and you need to get to 700. That means you need to earn 300 of the 350 left. That means you got to take the exam, and you can't take 45 seconds. It means you got to sit down and actually take the final exam and, let the thing roll. You got to answer all the questions. Or, your discussion this week is worth 50 points. Do more than just write a single post that says, yup, hey, that was a great post. For some students, you got to redefine success. Success might be, you're not going to pass my class, but I see you're in English. Let's focus your efforts there. Or you've had an abysmal term and you missed 6 of our 7.5 weeks in our term. I can't let you make up all that work, and even if you did, you're not going to pass. So let's get you focused on getting re-enrolled for next term and actually having a full 7.5 weeks at it, or 8 weeks, or whatever your term is. Give them a path forward, I guess is what I'm saying. Don't just shut it down and go, well, you're screwed. That's not how we do it, okay? So, you got to be a teacher, man. You got to be the teacher. You got to reach out to the student. You got to meet them where they live. Maybe they didn't learn what they needed in high school. For God's sakes, reach down and give them a hand up. Maybe they're not at the baseline needed for your class. Tutor them. Teach them. Refer them to your tutoring department if you've got one. Don't just let them founder on the line. Don't just let them hang out and die. That's not being a teacher. That's being a damn facilitator. All right. I think that's it for this video. Have a good one.